Welcome to the So Help Me God podcast with the Bremwood Chef. This channel is about analyzing life and trying to figure out what our role is here and everything that falls in between. In 1968, there was an experiment ran by a couple of scientists led by John Calhoun, and it was called the Universe 25. And it was a group study of mice, and they created this environment for the mice that was perfect. They had plenty of food, plenty of water, plenty of space, and plenty of breeding grounds. But they started going crazy, entering into chaos, and eating their offsprings. And so the pretty mice found themselves gathering up and being lethargic, and the rest of the mice were eating their spouses, they were eating their mates, their offsprings, themselves, losing their mind. And so I heard about these results in the Universe 25 experiment, and it really marinated inside of my head for a while. And so last week I was watching the Digital Circus for the first time. Great show. I thought it was, my son actually brought it up and asked me if we could watch it, and a couple of episodes in, and I was like, yeah, you can't watch this show. But I was already intrigued, and so I continued to watch it. And in this TV show, there's a antagonist called Cain, and he's an AI. And Cain has a purpose to fill. Now, I haven't, no spoiler alerts, because I actually haven't seen the finale. So there's no spoilers included. But Cain is a form of AI who has to fulfill this purpose of entertaining the human characters the entire day, every day, right? In this digital circus environment. And so, long story short, he fails to fulfill his purpose. It becomes almost obsolete because the humans don't want anything to do with him or his support, his entertainment, his challenges, right? And so he kind of goes a bit manic. And you'll have to watch the show to see and understand what I'm talking about. But so here is this character of Cain and the Universe 25 experiment results, and they both marinate inside of my head, right? And often, like many other people, I contemplate living and not wanting to live. Anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, all very natural, especially in younger generations. But I think often I am impressed with the Asian forest of suicide. If y'all have, well, you might remember Logan Paul was there. And so I think of this Asian culture that it has such high expectations for themselves and for their children. And so these children, they don't reach the level of expectations that their family set out for them, and more often than not, they end up, entering this forest to not come out again. And so I was discussing this with one of my brothers, and how interesting it is that the higher expectations you have, the more difficult it is to be happy. And where does happiness fall into all of this life, this simulation, this game that we're in, right? And so I was having a conversation with an atheist, and I guess this is the thesis of it all, of this entire video, really. I was having a conversation with an atheist, and the biggest question, the most common thing that I hear is, if God exists, why do good people suffer? Why do so many bad things happen to so many good people? And I always kind of felt like I had an answer for that. Not an answer to throw in their face, not an answer to shout at the mountains, just a reasoning in the back end of my processing brain to make sense of it all, make sense of life, make sense of all of this. And if this is a simulation, there is still a creator. And the answer is, I just don't think this is heaven. And we try to create the heaven for the mice in this experiment. It doesn't work. We try all of these things, technological advancements, the creation of AI. We do all of these things to rid of ourselves of challenges. And every generation afterwards is more and more lost, more and more depressed, more and more anxiety, right? And so solving all of these, and you think back to the older generations, to our ancestors, our grandparents and their parents, sorry, I'm baking something. The oven has reached its temperature. So we think back of all of these older generations, and they occupied themselves with simpler things, because those simpler things, wiring your house, fixing your plumbing, it was more difficult of a task before all of these electric tools and all of these technological advancements, and the market economy competing as much as it does, and all of this advertising for people who can help you with all of your problems. It was simpler in the past, and simpler things were more challenging. But in the end, the further we advance in technology and ridding ourselves of any problems, the more it seems that we're lost. And with the introduction of social media, the higher the expectations are. So do I have a cure for suicide? Absolutely not. Is it a tiny bit of clickbait? Maybe. But in the end, I'm not trying to fool anyone. I think that these two elements, the element of setting high expectations for things that shouldn't be so extreme, and the element of ridding yourself of challenges for comfort, but in the end losing your purpose. So is our purpose to get rid of these challenges? And if so, then we wouldn't tear a muscular cell and it regrow even stronger. Nature wouldn't become stronger the more harshness it faces, right? And so there's another study that I want to talk about before all of this is said and done, in that a lot of future generations, Neoteny, retention of youthful traits into adulthood, humans are highly neotenous. So you might have seen the clip. It's pretty viral. It's this gentleman that claims that everyone looks younger. All of the newer generations are looking younger and younger because we are not actually facing that many challenges, and therefore this metamorphosis that we're supposed to go through with stress is not happening, because so many people are living off of their parents or living off of their grandparents, and listen, I'm not pointing any fingers. It is just a simple observation that this gentleman made in a video, and this is my response to it. Is life easier now? So much so that it has affected the development of masculinity, aging, and therefore everyone looks younger, and chaos. Because in the end, what I would tell that atheist is, life, this simulation, this game, this thing that we do every day where we wake up and we're in this realm together. I don't believe that the purpose is to eliminate discomfort. I don't believe that that's the goal in this game of life. In fact, so much so when people try to play that way, it makes matters worse. So to answer your question, people suffer because this isn't heaven, but it's also not hell. There are beautiful things. And if it's not hell and it's not heaven, and the purpose is to go through challenges and grow stronger, then in the end, that just means that somebody's watching. In the end, it means that the Creator is watching. Whoever created this is watching to see what we do with the challenges that occur in this simulation. So, that's my thought on that. Tell me what y'all think. Marinate like I did with those 3 different studies, 3 different topics, 3 different results from certain analysis, and let me know if you reach the same conclusion. This has been the So Help Me God podcast with the Brimwood Chef. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it.